Hey everyone, Dr. Ackerman here for the first day of the active workout. So the name of today's workout is called Cuff, Core, and More. And the reason why we call it Cuff and Core is because you're going to be working on your rotator cuff muscles and your hip rotator cuff muscles as well as your core. So we're going to get right into it. So what you want to do is start off with an exercise band and put it onto an anchor on the wall. And you're going to keep your arm straight out to your side and make sure that you keep your head tucked in and your shoulder back and down. You're going to perform 10 repetitions on each arm. Next, you're going to perform external rotations with the same band. You're going to keep the elbow tucked next to your body and rotate your arm around your elbow, performing 10 repetitions on each side. Next, you're going to perform internal rotations, which is the opposite movement, bringing the hand towards the body. And make sure you keep your head up, looking straight ahead, and your shoulders back and down while performing these movements. And you're going to perform 10 repetitions on each side. This exercise is called scapular retractions with a row, and it's a two-part movement. The first part, you're going to retract and squeeze your shoulder blades back and down. The second part, you're going to row your arms to the side of your body. Make sure that you keep your shoulders back and down and that you're looking straight ahead throughout the whole movement. Perform 10 to 15 repetitions. Next, we're going to do core rotations, where you're going to keep your hands in front of your body and you're going to rotate your whole body together, looking straight ahead so that your head, hands, and hips all turn at the same time. You're going to perform 10 repetitions on each side. The last band exercises called lateral walks, which is going to be stepping on the band with your feet shoulder width apart. Keep a slight bend in your knees, and you're going to step side to side. Make sure that you pick your feet up and that you don't drag them on the floor, and keep a crouched position with your head up and your shoulders back the entire time. You're going to perform 5 repetitions to each side. Next, we have bird dogs. You're going to be in the all fours position, reaching out with your opposite arm and your opposite hand, and pause at the top of the movement, elongating your spine. Another variation of this exercise, you can bring your opposite elbow to your opposite knee in the middle for an added element of stability. Lastly, to make it even harder, you can pick your toes off the ground so that you're balancing on only your hands and your knees to make it even more challenging for your spinal stability muscles. This exercise is called Superman's. You're going to pull your head, shoulders, hands, and feet off the ground like you're Superman flying through the air. Another variation, you can bring the arms straight out overhead as your legs come off the ground. The last variation, you can bring your hands and legs apart and together, alternating, while keeping your head and hips off the ground. To perform a plank, you can do either modified or regular, modified being on the knees and regular being on the elbows and toes. Make sure that your body is straight, your hips are high off the ground. You can also raise one leg at a time to add an increased element of challenge. And to further challenge yourself, you can raise the opposite arm and the opposite leg while holding a plank position. Glute bridges are a great way to activate the glute muscles. You're going to keep your shoulders back and down and drive through your heels to raise your hips into the air while squeezing the glutes. To make them more challenging, you can do them one leg at a time with emphasis on the pause at the top of the movement. Lastly, you can keep your hips elevated and alternate one leg at a time to make it a little bit more challenging. Next is a crunch with diaphragmatic breathing. When you breathe in, the stomach should come out. When you breathe out, the stomach comes in, and then posteriorly tilt your pelvis and crunch up and hold. If you need a reference on how to perform this exercise and breathing technique, you can refer to our lumbar exercises on the Active Chiropractic Care website. If you want to add another variation to further engage the transverse abdominis and make this exercise more challenging, you can raise your legs off the ground to make it a little bit harder. These exercises are called bicycle crunches, reaching the opposite hand to the opposite foot and pausing at the top of the movement to engage the core and oblique muscles. Scissor kicks are a great way to work the lower abdominal muscles and hip flexor muscles, putting emphasis on going slow and controlled, lowering the leg down slowly, and driving the opposite heel into the floor as you raise the opposite toe towards your hands. Perform 10 repetitions on each side with the emphasis on slow and controlled movement. Lastly, we have side planks, starting with a modified plank on the knees and elbow. Make sure your spine is neutral and you're looking straight ahead. Next modification, you can raise your top leg, holding it out to the side, or you can raise your arm overhead and perform a crunch, bringing the elbow and knee together. To make this harder, you can go on the elbow and toes and add a hip dip, touching your hip to the mat, performing 10 repetitions, or you can perform a elbow to knee crunch while in a full side plank position. Here's a view of how it looks from the other side. Welcome to the cool down, designed to be done after every workout during the active workout. Here is a hamstring stretch, working on keeping the leg straight and stretching the hamstring. Then adding in a toe flexion and extension to stretch the calf muscles as well. Crossing the leg over the opposite knee, you're going to push away first, feeling it in the hip flexors, opening up the hip, and then you're going to pull towards your opposite shoulder to get a nice stretch on the piriformis muscle. You can also do these same stretches in an upright position, stretching your hamstring, keeping the leg straight out in front of you, and then you could reach for your toe and pull your toe towards you to further stretch the calves. Bring the leg across the body to get into a piriformis stretch, also known as pigeon pose, which is a great stretch for the hips. Hold each stretch for 20 seconds. The hip flexor muscles are extremely important to stretch in between every workout because they constantly get tight from sitting all day. Make sure that you have your pelvis tilted underneath you posteriorly and your head is looking straight ahead, your chest is straight ahead, and your shoulders are back and down. If you want to add an advanced stretch for the hip flexor, you can use a towel or a band to lift up the back leg. Make sure to perform all the stretches on both sides. We don't want to forget about the upper body, stretching the chest muscle. First, you're going to bring the arm straight out to your side, stretching the larger chest muscle, pec major, and then bring your arm up overhead 45 degrees to stretch the smaller pectoralis minor muscle. Once again, don't forget to perform all stretches on both sides, holding for 15 to 20 seconds each position. Stretching the upper trapezius muscle, push your shoulder gently back and down as you lean your head away. You can also use fingertip pressure to gently pull your head and stretch the upper trapezius further. Make sure that when you're performing this stretch and all stretches, that you come out of the stretch slowly. Next, to stretch the tricep muscles, the back of the arms, use a band or resistance cable to slowly pull the arm behind the head, keeping your arm parallel with your neck, getting a good stretch behind your triceps. Next is a rotator cuff muscle stretch, bringing your arm across the body and gently pulling the elbow across your body, feeling the stretch behind your shoulders and behind your shoulder blade. You can also then raise the elbow up higher towards the neck and chin to get a deeper stretch under the arm. Next, we're going to perform cat-cow, which is a combination of extension and flexion for the thoracic and lumbar spine. When you're flexing, bring your chin to your chest. When you're extending, bring your head up and drop your hips back. From this position, you're going to go into extended child's pose, reaching straight up overhead to feel a nice stretch in your lumbar spine. Walk your hand over to get a deeper stretch, bringing your left hand on top of your right hand to stretch the lower left side, and then bring your right hand over on top of your left hand to get a deeper stretch on your lower right side. Lastly, we're going to finish with a cobra stretch, which is a great way to finish all workouts because you're ending with extension, restoring the normal lumbar curve. Focus on breathing in as you go down and breathing out as you come up to help further the stretch.